Show me a better way. I wish you could. Show me a better way. I wish you would. Welcome to my channel, Plutonian Priestess, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is part 1 of my Astro Intro series, a 5-part series for astrological beginners that need to tackle the basics and who are interested in learning how to read their own chart, read charts of their friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, family members, so on and so forth. So this is just going to be laying down the foundation and the groundwork for everybody who doesn't have a lot of astrological background. If you are an intermediate or more advanced astrologer or astrology enthusiast, then these videos would be a good refresher course for you. Just in my Astro Intro Part 1, the basics, I'm going to be covering what is astrology, why should you use it, and the difference between tropical and sidereal astrology, which has been kind of a big debate for some people. Personally, I choose to use tropical astrology, but I will get into that a little bit more later. Alright, so what is astrology? Astrology, by definition, is the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies interpreted as having an influence on human affairs in the natural world. In human talk, what they're trying to say is that astrology is looking at the relationship between the placement of the planets and where they are in relation to your life, and not only the personality that creates in you during your birth, but also the influence and events that are caused by the placement of the planets throughout your life as well. And you can look at a natal chart not only for a person, but you can also look at a natal chart for a pet. You could look at a natal chart for a business. You could look at a natal chart for an event. Astrology is also used, more than just a birth chart, which is your captured chart of the time you were born or the time something was created or brought into existence. Countries, states, cities, they all essentially have birth charts too. Anything that is born in a sense or created is capable of having a birth chart, because basically when you are born you have an energetic imprint, right? So everything is interconnected energy in the world. And whether it is human to human, there's interconnected energy between plants, animals, everything, even between us and the stars. There's the saying, as above, so below. If energy is the source of life in the system of life, we can look at the energy exchanges between people and the energy that someone contains in themselves. One of the ways to do this is by looking at your birth chart. So when you are born, you have an energetic imprint of where the planets were at the time of your birth. What this energetic imprint does is it determines not only your personality and your character, but it also can give you insight into your soul purpose, your karma for this lifetime, past life karma. So your birth chart, that imprint, can be very, very beneficial for multiple reasons. The number one reason a birth chart is the most useful, I would say, is for understanding the self. For some people are born and right away they know exactly who they are. They know what they like, what they don't like, who they're going to be, and what they're going to do to get there. Other people don't know who they are necessarily. They feel like they can identify with a lot of different, groups of people, maybe a lot of different identities. Maybe they can, find appreciation in different kinds of art forms and stuff like that, but it also can be very confusing for them because they can't understand, who they are necessarily, or what their purpose is, or what they're here to do. So if you are a person who struggles with having a strong a strong sense of identity and feeling like you know what your purpose is and you know what your strengths are and you know what your weaknesses are, if you feel like you don't know those things or you lack that, or if you want to even know how to be more successful at one specific thing, let's say
as far as a career goes, you're really great in your career. You always excel. You get the promotion, you get the money bag, whatever, you know, but your personal relationships always suffer. You can't understand why your personal relationships suffer. And whatever it may be, you can look at your natal chart and look at the layers of your birth chart and start to understand maybe what are some of those reasons that you're manifesting issues in your personal relationships. So it could be used in multiple different facets. So number one, astrology is good for learning of the self. So learning your character, understanding yourself, learning your strengths and weaknesses, finding out who you are. Two, it's also good for career. So people a lot of the times will find that they want to do one career and then they start doing it and they're like, oh my god, what the fuck was I doing? Like, this is the worst choice ever. Why would I do this for myself? Or they work in a job for a long time and then maybe they get sick of it. Or maybe you're one of the people who goes to college and you change your major like 400 times and everyone's looking at you like you're crazy. If you want to know what you would be most successful at for a career, birth chart's great for that. Another reason to use astrology is to know better how to deal with relationships and energetic exchanges between you and other people. Synastry is most used, obviously, for relationships. It's most used for love. One of the great parts about synastry is it can show you, it can show you the strengths and the weaknesses of the relationship and how, like, what energy is at play so you can prepare correctly for that. When I look at synastry, I think it's really important to understand both the natal charts of each person first and see how they are in their own self-development, because if someone still has personal issues, or I don't even like the word issues, if people have character flaws or character development, let's say character development. If someone has character development they need to do on their own, they're not going to necessarily live up to the synastry that you two may have because they still have work in their personal life to do. However, I do think that synastry does a really good job of showing you a lot of the times where those issues are actually going to come up. You can see communication issues, deception, lying, cheating, and I don't want to say for sure those things because it's not always for sure. There's just signs of it. Fighting, but you can also see the good stuff too, like if you guys would be compatible for kids, how your home life would be, how your daily life would be, if you guys are the kind of people who should work together or absolutely never work together, if you're the kind of people who would do well traveling together, or if you're the kind of couple who should maybe go travel with their friends, so astrology can really give you a lot of insight in not only yourself but also your personal relationships. Third reason that I think you should use astrology is for prediction purposes. Now, predicting with astrology is never 100% foolproof because astrology, it shows you where the energy lies and it's up to the astrologer to know how to read the energy. But the thing is about that is that it's a synthesis of the energy that we're taking in, right? So we may see that Neptune is in the second house, for example, during a transit. So your astrologer might warn you, watch out for overspending, watch out for shopping addiction, watch out for, maybe credit card theft, something like that, lies, deception, ruled by Neptune. Watch out for money coming and going. Astrology can show you, for prediction purposes, when is a good time to get married, when's a bad time to get married, when's a good time to have kids, when's a bad time to have kids, when's a good time to start a new job. It can also prepare you for things. So going into life, we can go blind and we can go with the flow and roll with the punches, but knowing our astrology and knowing our transits really prepares us to know how to handle the energy that is coming at us. So it allows us to prepare for the storm if there's a storm coming, and it lets us prepare for the sunshine if the sunshine is coming. So astrology is really key in understanding the way you might be feeling during a certain time too. There are certain transits that can be emotionally and mentally harder on people, and sometimes they may have a hard time understanding why that is. Looking at your transits can be a source of explanation for some of the things you feel like you are going through internally. Okay, so the difference between tropical and sidereal astrology. Sidereal astrology has the same 12 zodiac signs and the same 12 planets that tropical astrology has. The only difference is that sidereal astrology is based on the position of the fixed stars, the constellations, in regards to the planets, rather than in tropical astrology, it is more earth-centric, as it is based off the position of the vernal equinox. Sidereal astrology looks at the positions of the zodiac as 24 degrees previous to tropical astrology. So the ecliptic is a 360 degree path, and the zodiac is split up in 12 with 30 degrees making up each sign. I personally use tropical astrology. I do enjoy dabbling in the sidereal side of things, and I do like to follow some other sidereal astrologers and things like that. However, tropical astrology is mainly what I will be focusing on in all of my videos, as well as my readings will all be tropical astrology readings, as well as my Twitter. If you would like to follow me on Twitter for threads and more information, definitely feel free at PLT Priestess, and my Instagram also at PLT Priestess. Go ahead and give those both a follow. I'll be using mainly tropical astrology, and when I do my tarot, the astrology that I talk about in relation to my tarot is mainly tropical astrology as well. Thank you so much for tuning into my Astro Intro Part 1, The Basics. I'll be back later this week with Astro Intro Part 2, The Planets, and we will continue on our adventure of getting to know the stars a little bit better. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can be notified of our next video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you next time. Indy, stop eating my flowers.
The clapping of your feet.